Hello, and thank you for watching The Righteous Kitchen, a cooking and baking blog found at www.therighteouskitchen.blogspot.com. Today I am going to walk you through how to make a bakery style white cake. Now I have been looking for years and years to find the perfect white cake. It's really impossible to find. A lot of times they have egg yolks in them, which defeats the whole purpose of the cake being white, or they are dry and bland, they just don't taste good. So that's why a lot of bakers rely on the white cake mix. Well, I was in part of a cake group, and a lovely lady from Canada shared her bakery style white cake. And it's a little bit unusual that the base of it is whipped cream. So I thought that was really unusual. I'd never heard of a cake mixed up like this, but I tried it and I was hooked ever since. It is a wonderful bakery style white cake. You're not going to find anything better. This is going to be your bakery white cake. All right, so I want to walk you through a couple of things. I have already have my pan lined with parchment. I'm using an 8x3 pan today. It's lined with parchment and Crisco. So I've got two of those on a large baking sheet, and I have my oven preheated to 350. I have some of my ingredients already measured, and right now I'm doing the 2/3 cups of egg whites, and I wanted to show you how I do the eggs to get the whites. So I just go ahead and get it into a bowl, and then I use my hand and just scoop out the egg yolk. They're very slippery. All right, now I'm going to save the yolks, and here we go. So we do that, and this you have to measure it to get your accurate measurements. All right, so let's do this again. See if this one doesn't separate a little bit easier. There we go. Let me see if I just... This is the most gentle way that I've found to do it. I tossed my egg separator, and I found just going in there and scooping it in the bowl is the most gentle. Looks like it's going to take another egg. Yep, that's it. So this took 5 eggs. I'll go ahead and refrigerate this and use it maybe for a curd or something. Let me go wash my hands and clean up this work area, and I'll be right back. Okay, so there is my 2/3 cups of egg whites, and I'm just gonna go ahead and set that to the side. The next thing that I wanna go ahead and prep is the flour. This recipe calls for cake flour. Now, I have used the homemade recipe for cake flour, where you remove some of it from the pre-sifted cup of flour. You remove a little bit and replace it with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. That's worked fine, but for this recipe, I'm willing to invest in the cake flour. So I always keep it on hand. So this has been packed up in a container, and so the flour kind of settles. So before I use the flour, I give it a little shake. But this recipe specifically tells you to sift the flour a couple of times before you measure it. And that's going to lighten and aerate the flour. Okay, I'm going to get a spoon and just come in here. I'm not really measuring anything right now. I just want to get a bunch of flour and sift it into this mixing bowl. Just sift it. Try not to make a big powder plume. This will take any lumps out if there's lumps. So this is our first sift, and I'm going to do that again. And look how nice and light that looks. It's like a nice powder. Now my home ec teacher taught me while I'm sifting not to bang around the bowl too much. All right. Now what I'm going to do is measure out 2 1/4 cups cake flour. So we're going to scoop it in here, just like we always do. And then level it off with the back of a knife. So there's one, and I'm going to put it right in the sifter. And here's 2. And then for the quarter, I actually use a quarter measuring cup because I want to not have to guesstimate. All right, so here's my 2 1/4. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, once I have the cake flour sifted, I'm going to add the baking powder and salt. And then I'm going to add the sugar. I'm going to give that a quick mix here with this spoon. And then I'm going to sift everything together. We just want to make sure all of our dry ingredients are combined. And you can see the difference, unsifted, and then when they're all the ingredients are sifted together, you can see how everything's nice and as one, looks like just a really nice flour. This here, it's all clumped, and you can see the flour and where the sugar separates. All right. So we have all of our dry ingredients sifted together. It looks very nice. What I'm going to do is bring the mixer over so you can see the next part of this recipe. I want to mention anytime that you're whipping cream, you want to make sure that your mixing bowl is absolutely clean and dry. So what I'm going to do is I have 1 1/2 cups of chilled heavy whipping cream. And I'm going to mix this like I was making whipped cream. So I want nice stiff peaks. We're not putting sugar in it. We're not doing anything like that. We're just whipping the heavy cream to stiff peaks. So we're going to start out on slow And then increase the speed gradually so that we're not having cream splashing everywhere. Okay, you do want to keep an eye on it towards the end. You don't want to overbeat these. Just like whipping cream, you want to make sure you have nice stiff peaks, but you don't want dry peaks. Okay, I have the cream whipped to stiff peaks, and I was careful not to overbeat it. So I just want to get the whipped cream off of the whisk. We're done using the mixer. Everything is going to be mixed up by hand. And so I have the egg whites, and I also have the vanilla flavoring. And I'm just going to go ahead and stir this. Now it's not going to combine, but you just want to get it stirred around just a little bit. And then I am going to add the dry ingredients in thirds. And this won't come together until you get all of the dry ingredients in here. And you want to make sure to get everything off the sides and the bottom of your mixing bowl. You want everything combined. All right, just keep working. It's getting really thick. Make sure you get all the flour mixed in here. It's like a really thick batter. And that's it, nice and smooth. Everything came together. All those egg whites came together once we worked that flour in there. So what I'm going to do is I have my 8-inch pans, and I'm just going to divide the batter. And weigh these. A little dab over here. All right, they're both 1 pound, 9.4 ounces. That scale comes in handy for that. To even these out, I'm just gonna work the batter towards the edge and kind of get an even mixture in here. I tried to use the offset spatula, but it wasn't fitting in there very well. So just use your spoon and just kind of spread it as even as you can. And that's going to also help you to work out any air bubbles. Okay, so that's good. We've got them even out. I'm just going to do a little bit of, I don't want to really bang it too much. I just kind of want to even it out. I don't want to deflate this, what we took our time and mixed up that whipping cream. All right, these are going into the center rack in the oven. It's preheated to 350, and this is going to take anywhere from 35 to 40 minutes until it comes out with the cake tester, comes out clean. All right, so they're going in the oven. About 36 minutes. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring them out and see what they look like. Let's see what we have here. Okay, we're gonna look at them. They have a nice spring, but see where there's a little bit of indent right there? This one too has a little bit of indent where I'm putting my finger down. I'm gonna say 2 more minutes. Let's do 2 more minutes on these. That'll be 38 minutes. Okay, the cakes have baked for 38 minutes now. And I'm gonna give them that finger test again. And see the difference? It's not leaving a fingerprint. I like that. Let me run down real quick what I look for every time when I'm checking my cakes for doneness. First off, your nose. You're gonna smell it. It's gonna smell like a bakery in your house. So that's a good indicator. That tells you, oh, I need to go to the oven and check on my cake. Secondly, you're gonna see where it starts to come apart or get a little bit browning towards the edge of the pan. Third, you're gonna check it for springiness and make sure that you're not leaving an imprint with your finger on the cake. And then lastly, you're gonna take your cake tester or a toothpick and put it in there several times, and you're gonna make sure that there's no cake batter on your cake tester. So doing all of those things are gonna help guarantee that your cake is baked correctly. Now, we are at the point where we need to release this cake from the pan, and I do it right out of the oven. I take a thin bladed knife and I go right against the interior edge of that pan, and I'm gonna go all around to make sure that all the cake is not sticking to the pan. So I go around there a couple of times. Let me show you again on this one. We want to keep this blade right up to the edge of the pan, circle around, and then I do it another time. I like to do this when it's hot because the cake is more pliable. It's not gonna harden up on the edges, and you're gonna get a nice break with your knife. So I do that, and then I use parchment. I double up on the parchment, and I lay it right over the cake pan. The reason I double it is if you use only one layer and this is hot, the steam could kind of meld this to the surface of whatever you're using. So 2 of them, and I don't have a problem of any moisture or anything like that, and I'm able to move my cake. Then I take a cooling rack and I put it over the top of the parchment. And then I invert the cake. And see how easy it came out? Now, sometimes I don't have to level my cakes because since I've inverted it, the top is now on the bottom. It's on a flat surface, it's nice and warm, and it's gonna flatten everything out for me. So I'm gonna just move this over to the side and let it cool. It can even cool right here on this cool granite. That is fine. And I'm gonna go ahead and release the other cake. I'm gonna do the same exact thing. I get my parchment in bulk at Sam's Club or Costco because I do tend to use a lot of it. All right, you're gonna want your gloves because the pan is hot. And we're just gonna flip it right out, lift it up, and there are our 2 cakes. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this cool on the counter also. And that's it. I won't be decorating these today. They are part of a cake project that I'm working on. I am making a Neapolitan cake. This is the white cake layer, the center part. I've also modified my white cake recipe into a raspberry cake recipe, and then I'm going to use a German's chocolate for the bottom. I won't be assembling it on this video, but look for this video and then you'll be able to see when the cake is sliced and what it looks like. In the meantime, I'm going to gather up a few photos of this white cake recipe and attach those to the video. But as always, I thank you for watching. I appreciate your support. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching.